Hi, I'm Chuck, and this is my big 120X printer, which I print really large prints on. Today I'm going to talk about a way to fix some things on the fly if something breaks. Now, if you have a small printer and you're printing something like maybe this size and your print goes bad, well, you can just toss it away and print another one. You'll just lose time and a little bit of money, maybe $3 or $4 worth of material. But if you're printing something that's big, and I mean something that might be several feet long and take several days to print, then you could lose days, if not maybe even a week or more on a print, plus hundreds of dollars in material. This print that I have going on right now is about 17 inches long, maybe 8 or 9 inches wide and 8 or 9 inches high, and it takes 1.5 kilograms of material to print. So we're talking $30 or $40 of material, and it takes 35 hours to print the quality and the speed that I want to print this. And so one of the things that will happen when you're printing with a large printer, or any printer for that matter, is if you have to go change filament, sometimes what will happen is that filament will get stuck when you go to put your new filament in. Another thing that could happen is you could get a clog in the middle of your print, or you could strip your filament, and I've had some people ask about that too. And so today I'm going to talk about how you can fix this printer mid-print without losing any time other than about 4 or 5 minutes to make the change. All right, so I'm in the middle of a print right now, and we can see that the filament, I went to go change filament, and we're stuck in the, right up in the extruder. So we're gonna have to take this apart and fix it on the fly. Okay, so we have a stripped piece of filament in here when we were trying to load. We're in the middle of a print, and we now have to figure out, we have to get this filament out. I can either trash the whole print, or I can take this filament out and clean out the clog in his nozzle and save myself 24 hours and a bunch of material from starting all over. So what I need to do is step one, I gotta get this out of here. Okay, so I gotta find, and it's not gonna go down any further, all right? So my first step is I need to take this apart. I'm gonna take this plate off, my extruder. These E3Ds have 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? My 4th one is stripped on my cover plate, which I 3D printed because they kept breaking. So I just leave it in, and that one really is not that necessary anyway, other than to hold it in place. I'll take my screws out. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now, I'm going to take this plate off, set that aside. Now, when you get in here, what happens is this little knob here grabs onto the filament, this gear, and is what causes it to go down. Pushes it down through into your heat sinks and through your heat block and out the extruder. So I need to take this out. And I can't pull it out, okay? And I want to make sure I don't move this. So the next step I need to do is I got to get it out. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, I shouldn't need to take this off because I know the block is inside the nozzle itself. So I'm going to take off my tension spring slowly and carefully and set that aside. And then I can pull this guy out. Okay, and I can see where my clog is right here, or I'm sorry, where my strip is right there, okay? And what's happening is the end of this is getting down inside and getting stuck on something, probably a little bit of buildup. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna recut it, cut it at an angle, okay? And then I'm going to throw this piece away here. All right, now that's all set. So now what I need to do is I need to clean out this nozzle down here a little bit, okay? So I'm going to put my cover plate back in place. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. First I'm going to put my tension knob back in place. All right. Then I'm going to put my cover plate back in place. All right. Then I'm going to replace my screws. All this without moving this printer head. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can try to run it through a second time, and if it strips, then go through this process all over again. And sometimes that works, okay? And sometimes it doesn't work, all right? In this case, I'm gonna go through the process of cleaning out this head first before I try that. So I have enough clearance at the bottom of this, fortunately, to get a needle up in here. I'm going to take one of these needles from this nozzle cleaning kit tweezers, and I'm going to just put that guy up in there and kind of poke around. So it's not a bad clog because I get this right up in and out of there, okay? And you can see the material on it. Take that off. One more time. Now, hopefully this is hot enough. I'm going to run this back through again. I've got that clipped. Down, and then on my settings I'm going to encourage more. Here. And we will see if we make it through. If we don't, then we have to take the nozzle off and put a new nozzle on. And it's still stripping. Okay, so in this case, we are still stripping. One more time. Come on. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, so use my fingers to try to push it while it's going. And it's not going to go. All right. So in this case, it's stripped again. So the next step then is sometimes it'll start going through based on that, so I can go through it all again, or I've got to put a new nozzle on and clean it out that way. So I'm going to go through the steps again. Step one, I got to take this guy off. Take out my screws, set them aside. Take off my cover plate, set it aside. Next, take out my tension cable, my tension spring, set that aside, and now this will almost make it through. It almost made it through. See, it really mangled that up this time. So it's definitely blocking. And there's my strip. Again, that tells you how far down you are. So, got that. All right. So now, the next step is I gotta take this nozzle off, okay? So we're gonna take off our silicone cover, our boot. Get that out. Then, carefully, I'm going to remove this nozzle. Okay? And again, this thing is super hot, so you don't want to touch it with your hand. All right, almost there. There, got that one out, set that aside. Okay, we'll grab a brand new 0.8 millimeter. All right, double check your dots. Make sure it's the right size nozzle. Okay, so I'm gonna put this nozzle back up. And I can do this with my hand for a little bit till it gets warm. Do not touch the silver heat block because it is hot and it will burn. Okay, I can get about that far before it starts getting kind of warm on me. Now, go back through, tighten this up. Okay. And then, kind of place the wrench. Get this guy tight. Okay. All right. Now I can put everything back again. So let's go back again. Put my tension back in place. Got it. Okay. Put my cover plate back. Okay. Put my screws in. And then tighten down. Okay, that's nice and snug. I gotta remember my silicone boot back. If I need to replace it, I could replace it too right now, but it should be fine. All right, that is now back in place. Now we'll try to run through it again. Put my fan on here. All right. Fan on. And then get this filament nice and straight, so we got a nice straight not coming down. All right, now we're gonna try it again, purge more. So we have a brand new nozzle on, and it should be completely clean. Okay. One more time, it's starting to come out. All right. And you can see it coming out of the bottom. And we'll start getting everything out of the way. Let that finish up its thing. Right. And we snapped off here. Okay, the extra piece out of there, and then we're good to go. So here we go. We're gonna give it a shot and see what happens here. There we go. And our print is saved. And now here we are a couple of hours later after we've changed material. And as you can see, I have two completely type of ABS materials printing. You can see the difference between this little bit more matted material and this tad shinier material. And that difference in that shine and that color, you can see it actually go all the way around. That difference in that color and that shine is the difference between one material versus another. But as you can see, there is no layer line loss, and there's really no shifting at all in that print. Now, let's talk about what probably went wrong with this, and a couple of other things that might actually go wrong that would put you in the situation that I just showed you how to recover from. The number one item would be this nozzle. As you can see in this nozzle, this is looking pretty dirty here. And also, when I compare it to a brand new nozzle, you can see the difference in the height of the tip of that nozzle. So if you notice this brand new unused nozzle, it's a bit more pointy, and so it's gonna be a little bit more accurate, although this one was pretty accurate right up until the point that I pulled it off, and you can see that in that print that I just showed you, not much of a difference. But the second thing that can happen with this guy is the crud that can build up inside these. Now, what you wanna do with one of these nozzles is when you change materials, it's nice to a complete change of materials, and I mean going from PLA to ABS or ABS to nylon X or PET G or something like that. It's nice to heat these guys up and then bring through your new material. So you can safely go from ABS down to PLA if you bring it up to about 270 degrees Celsius and then run a bunch of PLA through it, 4 or 5 purge times just to get the guy cleaned. If you're going up, it's a little bit easier because your ABS will probably scrub out your ABS and your PET G, and of course, like nylon X will scrub out the others and just about anything because it wears out on your brass nozzles anyway. So what generally I don't do is I don't bother cleaning these guys. I wait till they fail or they're getting about at this point, and I just toss them away because a brand new one is about $10 or so, and the amount of time it takes me to keep this nice and clean is just really not worth my time. Okay, maybe it's worth yours. The second thing that can go wrong is your material. Now you can clearly see the difference in the materials in this particular print. You can see it's slightly matted on the lower section, the next section is a little shinier. I think that's more likely what I had an issue with, because I kept running in the same problem each time that I tried to run new material down. It was getting clogged, and I could also tell by the quality of the material coming through of the newer material that it just seemed to be maybe a bit more sketchy than the other material, but it seems to be printing just fine, and I know from experience that this particular brand will ultimately be okay. The third item that could possibly happen would be that your tensioner is loose on the 3D printer, on the actual extruder, and so you may want to tighten that tension up a little bit, because having it a little bit loose might cause your material to strip a little bit, okay? So those are the primary reasons why. Another fourth reason, which is kind of unrelated to the stripping, but why you might end up in this position where you have to change something on the fly, is maybe you ran out of material, you forgot, you didn't change it, it went through, maybe your sensor for causing the machine failed, or maybe you're like me, you just don't even use one, and the material ran out and then you had to go pull the old material out. But at the end of the day, this print worked out okay. They don't always work out okay. Sometimes it's a complete scrap. You got to start all over. But hey, that's the name of the game. With 3D printing, you're not always going to have a great outcome. But my hope is, with this video, you're able to save yourself at least a decent amount of time and money most of the time, and not be afraid to actually work on that machine while it's in the middle of a print. So thanks for watching, and if you give me a thumbs up, like, and follow me, that would be great. Thank you so much.